the Padres have room to grow into a legitimate World Series contender. And there's obviously a ton of talent on this roster, and we haven't seen the complete upside of it, but they are not a defensive force like the Dodgers are. The Dodgers saved like over 100 defensive runs last year in a shortened season. I mean, this team is absurd. Not only, and I'm not talking about the players on the field, I'm talking about the analytics staff.
I think the Padres at some point, the question is when am I going to buy? So I've already taken the win total over 92. I think that's good up to 94.5. They are, according to WAR, wins above replacement. They have a better pitching staff than the Dodgers. Now that's per Fangraphs. It's not by much. They're still, two of the best three in Major League Baseball. And I'm going to have to keep myself from betting Danielson Lamet to win the Cy Young every single year. The thing with the Padres is I don't know how many innings they're going to go. Can Lamet stay healthy? Can a lot of their guys on the staff stay healthy? And think about Blake Snell. Think about it from the perspective of the Rays would never allow him to go to the seventh inning. He was on a pitch count. He couldn't go deep into games. From what I saw, article that was posted in the last 2 days, I think they're actually contemplating having Blake Snell throw into the seventh inning, but they have to work up to it. So as to where the Dodgers can basically run a 7-8 man rotation, let Kershaw, let Walker Buehler, miss a start every once in a while. I don't know if the Padres are deep enough to pull that off. So I think the Padres are hungry and talented. If we see a 8-9 game drop between the Dodgers and the Padres, then 94.5 is the stopping point you want to have to buy on the Pods. But I definitely like the Pods on the over. And I'm going to consider a Dodgers under all the way up until opening day. Not going to buy it now because there's going to be an appetite for this Dodgers team, big time. And I think I have to assess at what number do I buy the Padres for the division. I'll lean on Sean. Let me just throw a number out there. But what are the Dodgers going to get up to? Minus 350 to win this division? I'm going to get used to staring at Dodgers Rockies with a money line of what, minus 380 when these games start getting played during the regular season. So I don't know. It's something I'll internally debate, but when do I buy in on the Padres for the division? I mean, the Dodgers, what if the humidor does come into play? What happens if there's injuries that they can't necessarily get out of? What if Kenley Jansen, just can't find the plate and it's contagious throughout the rest of the bullpen? I don't know. But I think at some point you got to consider having the Padres for the division. I'm not rushing to get it, but at the same time, this number is just, these numbers for the Dodgers are insane. They're historical.
Yeah, I mean, look, for those who are not familiar, the Padres, they do have a very good staff. I mean, they added Darvish. I mean, you had guys that they signed last year. You have Lamet still there, Paddock, Clevenger. Yeah, it's a loaded staff. And then if you think some of their arms on their bullpen bounce back, yeah, the staff is great. We know the lineup has a lot of talent. Zero, do you have any thoughts on the number for the Padres, the buy point?
Yeah, probably 300 or better. I have them projected at plus 240. I have the Dodgers at minus 240. It's a nice little inverse there. Which means I have the Giants at 0.2% and the Diamondbacks at 0.1%. So not completely dead, but pretty much Dodgers or Padres binary. Listen, it's a kind of thing where if the Padres want to win the division, they're going to have to redline their arms. They're going to have to push Snell as hard as possible. They're going to have to push Darvish as hard as possible. Do you really want to do that before the playoffs? If it's just a 1-game wild card in order to get into the second round, you might have to because you want to guarantee that series. But at the same time, like with either Darvish or Snell, you're going to be a favorite in the wild card game. So what's the benefit to pushing your starters to close down a divisional lead when you're probably a 65% favorite to win that wild card game anyway?
But maybe not here. But Zaril, isn't, I think the nightmare scenario for you, for Padres fans, is the Braves win the division by a game, the Dodgers win the division, and then it's the Padres and the Mets in the wild card, while the NL Central winner with like 71 wins is waiting. Right. That's the fear, right?
Either way, it's Fried or DeGrom. So yeah, it's not an ideal matchup to be getting. I just have injury concerns with Snell. Lamet has elbow concerns. Like I said the Dodgers don't have to push their pitchers. I feel like the Padres do. And on top of that, they're pushing pitchers who already have injury concerns. Clevenger's not pitching this year, I don't believe. So even going into next year, like I feel like on paper, they're going to be the sexy team again. And I might still be fading them again. There's just too much downside with the injuries. And, you know, we've like, obviously we all think Tatis is a superstar, but the guy hasn't even played technically a full season of at-bats yet, even combined with his 2 seasons. Like, you know, Cronenworth oversheed last year. They replaced him with Ha-Seong King. How good is Kim? We just, there's too many question marks about this team to really buy into them overtaking the Dodgers completely this year. I think it's actually making the Dodgers underrated because of it.
And speaking of guys that go ice cold for 2 or 3 months that have a very bad defensive WAR, Eric Hosmer is still penciled in to bat 4th for the Padres. So, I mean, there's that too.
And that alone is almost disqualifying. Like the Dodgers don't have a single hole. Hosmer is a huge hole. They got a lot out of Will Myers last year, who had done nothing before. It's a little scary. Like I'm the more I think about it, the less inclined I am to bet the Padres over, and the more inclined I am to bet the Giants over, because I feel like the Giants could get to 500 easier than the Dodgers could, or the Padres could get to 95, 96 wins almost.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking, when I look back, when the Rockies almost won the division against the Dodgers, like they had this unique aspect. Like their offense was, they obviously ran really well. They were pitching well, but their offense was just red hot, and they play in course, right? Like you come there and you're going to play in these crazy games, and they have one of the biggest home fields because
I think
of
they
that.
also needed
like
it. I think the Dodgers started like 6-18 in May.
They started really low. Yeah, they started really slow. That's what the Padres would need here again. But then it's like, what advantage do they really have? Like the Dodgers are kind of like a better version of them. It's like their parks aren't dissimilar. So I agree with you. I think that if you want to bet the Padres this year, the way to do it is try to find the bottom if you believe in that, at some point during the regular season to win the World Series. The problem is that I keep going back to is that you're most likely going to be facing it's a 50-50 proposition to get into the next round in that wild card round against DeGrom or Fried, like you said. Like that's scary. And then you got to go on to eventually beat the Dodgers or the Mets or Braves, and then so I don't know. Maybe I feel bad for the Padres. It's just like put them in the NL Central, and they would win 105 games maybe.